Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're showcasing a brand new rogue deck we've been cooking up, and no, it's not on Limitless. Yet. We're bringing this to Stuttgart Regionals, and the goal is simple. Make day 2 and put this thing on the map. So let me introduce you to our secret weapon, Chuck Snorris. The name Chuck Snorris comes from the actor and legendary meme man Chuck Norris, but in our deck, the one doing the roundhouse kicks is Garbodor, using its attack Chuck. The idea, get tools, yeet them at your opponent for huge damage, and when you run out, just call in Snorlax to bring them back. It's hilarious, and honestly, it's way stronger than it has any right to be. Let's break down how this beast works. The deck revolves around a few key pieces. Number 1, Garbodor, the main attacker. Garbodor's Chuck attack discards as many tools from your hand as you want and hits for 50 damage for each one. That means you can spike into the 200 to 350 range pretty easily. With the right setup, this thing one-hit KOs threats people don't expect a rogue deck to answer. Snorlax the Recycler. Snorlax's ability, Voraciousness, lets you put up to 2 leftovers from your discard pile back into your hand each and every turn. That turns your Chuck into a repeatable nuke. Snorlax sleeps, we sweep. Dunsparce, the Dunsparce Engine. This evolution line is your consistency backbone. The Dunsparce helps you dig and keep your hand full while also absorbing hits when needed. It keeps your deck running smoothly so Garbodor can keep the heavy lifting. It also works really well with enriching energy to draw 4 cards and shuffle the enriching energy back into your deck, or if you need to get something out of the active, you can just jet up a Dunsparce, use its ability, and put whoever in the active that you would want at that certain time. Pheasantipede EX, this card brings added draws, setup consistency, smooths hands, and you get into the right pieces early after you get knocked out. Fan Rotom is just a very good consistency card to set up your Dunsparces, and is definitely one of the main ideas behind this deck, because without the draw and without the Dunsparces, you kind of fall flat on your face. So you do have to keep a mind out for cards such as Watchtower. That is why we are actually running 3 stadiums and a way to find a stadium in Colress's Tenacity. Obviously, any deck based on Chuck needs the right tools. Literally. Here's what we're running and why. Leftovers. This can heal your active, but that's not really the main case. The main case is that this is actually a tool that Snorlax recovers. So that's kind of like what the combo is, right? Vitality Band. This gives 10 damage in some weird scenarios. They're very niche, but if you can save yourself a tool for the next turn or something like that, just by adding the 10 extra damage instead of throwing it away, well, that's what Vitality Band is for. Sometimes a Fan Rotom needs to hit 80 damage instead of 70 damage. In worst case scenario, even a Trubbish could basically one-hit KO something like a Bidoof with its second attack. Not ideal, but since we're a one-price deck, we can actually do these kind of things where we just go 1 for 1 until we actually want to start taking 2 prizes. Experience Share, or XP Share, I guess it's called, keeps energy flowing between your attackers so you don't fall behind. This also lets you have an opening to actually use things such as enriching energy or jet energy, while also keeping your attackers with energy. TM Evolution and TM Devolution, not much to be said here. Obviously, they're big tech options. Evolution helps you speed up your Garbodor or your Dunsparce line, and Devolution can actually steal surprise knockouts on evolved Pokemon that you temporarily can't knock out. Or if your opponent just went Rare Candy into Charizard and Rare Candy into Pidgeot, you can just be like, well, let's take that back a step, shall we? While we buy ourselves a little bit more time for our setup. Town Store plus Arven. These are just tutors for your tools, so you always have enough Chuck ammo. The whole deck is basically a loaded toolbox. So for supporters and consistency, we're running a tight engine of consistency cards because this deck lives and dies by keeping your hand full. For Arven, mandatory. Finds your tools, finds your basic Pokemon with Buddy Buddy Poffin and recovery tools, and stage 1s and your Fez. Anything in the deck, Arven will do it for you. It's arguably our best supporter in the deck. I guess the second one here, 3 Boss's Orders, we could make a suggestion for this being the best one in the deck, because if we're chipping away with Chuck, we want to hit the right target with it, right? So Boss's Orders will help you do that. The Buddy Buddy Poffins help flood the board with basics, and Hilda and Colress's Tenacity adds late game stability, hand refresh, and recovery. Super Rod brings back our border pieces. You can actually get the whole line back with just one Super Rod, so the Energy, the Garbodor, and the Trubbish, of course. And once the engine is online, the deck becomes surprisingly consistent at delivering 2 prize knockouts or even 3 prize knockouts in this new Mega Evolution meta that we're going in. The Energy is super light with just a 7 total because Garbodor only needs 1 Darkness Energy to get rolling. How does the deck actually play out? In the early game, you'd flood your board with the Dunsparce and Trubbish. Use Arven to start assembling your tool pieces. Get Garbodor online as soon as possible. In the mid-game, you just loop your tools with Snorlax, start swinging with Chuck for up to even 600 damage if you could somehow find all those tools. Now, obviously that's never needed, but it is possible with 12 tools in your deck. 20% of your deck are tools. So what are the good and the bad matchups of this deck? Well, obviously good matchups include things such as Gardevoir. Because we are a 1 prize deck that is dark, we also hit big numbers very easily, and we run enough boss's orders. We can hunt down the Gardevoirs pretty easily. Now, something you need to take into consideration when you're playing this deck is that the Dunsparces that we're using are 2 of the 60 HP ones and 1 of the 70 HP ones. If possible, never leave a 60 HP one lying around during the mid game once they have their Monkey Dories set up, because with 2 Monkey Dories, they're able to actually just snipe off these prizes for free off the bench and disrupt your whole draw engine, and that is a disaster for the deck basically. So always try to, at least if you're going to set up the 60 ones, do it with a TM Evo and make sure that you put the Dunsparce instead of the Dunsparce. Charizard EX is a pretty hard matchup, but it is doable if you are able to take out their Charizard twice in a row pretty easily. This will require some setup, and hopefully don't have too many Dusclops set up for Dusknoir if they run that, because if they do, you definitely need to chase those because they can just one-pop kill your main attacker, and that's bad news for us, right? So you try and take out their Pidgeot if you can. You try and take out their main attacker Charizard, and perhaps if they lay down a Pheasantipede in the end, you try to boss that in the end and get it with a bear when you're down to 1 prize or something like that. Because they tend to not be able to actually take multiple prizes per turn unless they have something like a Briar in their deck, which some do, some don't, but pay attention for that, of course. Dragapult Noir, that's probably our worst matchup so far. I have beaten it, and my friend has as well, but it is a really hard matchup. And again, you kind of have to go after the Dusclopses as soon as possible, or the Duskulls even with your Fan Rotoms or whatever you can do. And yeah, just try and get your setup put up together as fast as possible, and hopefully a surprise one-hit KO on their Dragapult can really put them off guard and perhaps get you the dub in that matchup. But it's going to be hard. They have a lot of ways to spread damage. We have a lot of small dudes. So I'd say that matchup is probably like 40-60 in their favor. Yeah, not much else you can do about that. Absolbox. Now, Absolbox I've played quite a bit, and to my knowledge, I think I've only lost to it once, and that was when my opponent had a very fast start with Absol and was able to pick off my hand pretty easily with an Airy and a Claw of Darkness on like their 2nd or 3rd turn, and I still didn't have a good setup. Now, if you are able to set up properly, which this deck does pretty consistently, to be honest, you should be fine here, because you can actually just easily hit 350 damage and be able to knock them out, especially with cards like TM Machine, which can get you up to 3 tools, adding a whopping 150 damage to that Chuck attack. Sweet damage. So why are we playing this deck, you may ask, and why aren't we just playing some meta deck? Well, first off, we really love rogue decks, okay? Rogue decks are something that amuse us. We're not doing the same thing as everyone else, but also we figured this card seems way too good not to actually have a limitless page, and we wanted to change that. But because this card is going to be rotating out, we don't have that much time left. So we're going to be playing this at all the regionals we go to and try and make that happen. To be honest, this deck is just really fun, explosive, and pretty scary if you're not ready for it. So that's the full deck tech. Let me know in the comments what you change, what matchups you think it hits hardest, or if you want to see gameplay videos with Chuck Snorris in action. If you enjoyed the video, smash the like button, subscribe, and wish us luck at the Stuttgart Regionals. Thanks for watching, and remember, Don't mess with Chuck Snorris.